The COVID vaccine is made of graphene oxide toxin. Please do not take the COVID vaccine. If taken, please drink pine needle tea per DR to eliminate the spikes caused by the vaccine. Consult your physician, MRI, or EMP. Also needed to deactivate the nanobots. Pine needle tea helps protect you from the cloud of spike proteins jab people leave behind, I guess in sort of a mist wherever we go. I only wear a mask in public to avoid spike shedding from the jab. What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer, and I critically analyze apologist claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. Today, I'm here with Almost a Doctor. Hi there, Almost a Doctor, or sorry, do you want me to just call you Matt?
Either one. Matt might be easier. We can go with it. But yeah, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, what we're doing today, just to clue everybody in, we're going to be going through a bunch of Twitter posts. Well, there are images that we got off of a couple of accounts on Twitter, and so they're on like vaccines and medical stuff, and they're just bad takes all around. So we're going to get to that, but first I want Almost a Doctor, Matt here, to tell us about his channel, what he's doing over there, and why everybody should go over there right now, pause the video, subscribe to his channel, because he does a lot of great science-oriented content.
Yes, so my channel is about making science videos, and I try and take interesting topics or questions and have a look at things from a different angle. And so things like, do submarines fly was a good one for that I liked. But I had recently made one on the fastest objects. I did a really big 2-part video on whether there might be aliens in this solar system, which took me quite a while to make, but hopefully that one is enjoyable for everyone. And I've got one coming up where I'm just going to see how many lame science jokes I can tell. A bit of a lighthearted one for the end of the year. Considering how busy everyone is. So I thought that might go well. And yeah, so I just have kind of an interest in making more science videos. And so, yes, just to make it clear in case people don't know, I am Almost a Doctor because I'm doing my PhD in physics. So I'm not a medical doctor, but I do have a background in chemistry. However, most of the pictures that we've got today, well, most of the images of these Twitter phrases don't really need that much medicine or science to assess why they're stupid, so we should be all right anyway.
Yeah, and I gotta say, going into this, and I might be convinced otherwise, but going into this, my favorite bullshit surrounding vaccine stuff and medical takes in general has been that graphene oxide is somehow in the vaccines that cause you, like, for some reason they're supposed to conduct electricity and maybe cause you to explode or something, or maybe it has something to do with 5G. They go several different ways with it, but right now that's my favorite.
There's nothing unified about it, but I've seen that the graphene oxide or the graphene nanowires or nano razors, and they're designed to cut. No, graphene doesn't work well in vaccines. I don't know where exactly it came from, but then again, with this sort of woo, it's always hard to tell. But even if you had small parts of a conductor in you, by the time you dilute even if you assume the full vaccine volume, which is, if you think of a syringe this long, it's probably only between 2-3 mils, I think, at that, depending on the size. You can do bigger ones, but you can't really inject anyone with more than 20 mils of a vaccine anyway before it's just excessive. And even 20 mils is probably way over the top. So yeah, even if all of that was conductor, no, you're not making yourself conductive, which is sad because it means I don't get my 5G connection to the towers automatically. I still need to use a phone.
Yeah, well. I'm really disappointed because, like, if I go to certain places, I drop off the 5G network and I got to go to like that LTE shit, and it just doesn't work. Honestly, if they can make a shot where you just get 5G everywhere, I mean, I think I might take it. I don't know.
but yeah. So one of the things, though, because I've come across some of the professors in my time in chemistry, because yes, I I did chemistry and physics background, and a lot of them worked with like graphene type structures. There's no way you could mass produce it for a vaccine.
Right.
There's no way you're controlling anything like this. It's just not practical. It is a really, really nice material, but it doesn't do well. Besides, if you have graphene in the blood, it's going to probably react with something. So yeah,
well,
it's
not
stupid
only,
all around.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, that was it. I just wanted to add that in, even if it needed to be said.
Well, from what I've read, and again, I'm nowhere near the medical field, but from what I've read from like experts, even if there was a little bit of graphene, even graphene oxide in the vaccines would look totally different. Like they would be near black, or at least have like a black tint to them. And so given that all the vaccines are either clear or kind of have this yellowish tint, means that there's, no graphene in them, like at least in any kind of amount that would, be, I guess, effective, maybe. I mean, I don't know. But the point is that it's just simply not in the vaccines. Oh,
yeah. You could see it because graphene will not dissolve in any aqueous solution, which is what you need to use. You have to use a water-based thing for it to actually get in with your body. Normally, they do it with a bit of salt and a few other things so it balances with your body's kind of natural levels. Although it feels almost dirty saying natural in this sense, but based on what some of these commenters think it means. But I think, in a biological sense, because of the levels that we normally have, if you put graphene in it, it's not dissolving, so you just get all these black particulates. So that you'd see it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, let's head on over to our little presentation screen. So first we're going to be going through the Bad Vaccine Takes Twitter account. And as you can tell, this first one says, Santa been reading your posts all year. Most of you are getting science textbooks because you're gonna understand why. And I feel like this was posted in December 17th, 2020, and it has aged very well this entire year, because the entire year was horrible as far as like vaccine takes and stuff like that goes.
It was hard to actually select out and limit the number of posts because there were just so many, and this is only one place. But there's a lot of people who need science textbooks.
Well, you see, the problem with that though is that they'll just claim, oh, well, they just tell me what I want to hear so that I'll comply and become communist, fascist, socialists or something. Like that's what I've heard. Like they say that you're going to become a communist or any number of those if you wear a mask or do anything that the quote unquote establishment tells you. But it's quite ridiculous.
My favorite take on that was when Dr. Tenpenny tried to say masks were bad, which is appropriate for the first one, because there was a study done where after 2 hours of surgeons wearing them, they then tested it and the inside of the mask was full of germs.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, it was in the sense of they don't work. I'm like, did you realize you've debunked yourself already? That's the whole point. They're in the inside. They're not outside the mask. Anyway.
Like, I'm wondering if they think that the mask is supposed to like instantly dissolve the germs in that case. Like, I wonder if that's what they thought was supposed to happen. Not that it was supposed to prevent your germs from, spreading.
Yeah. Or you grow germs on it, which anyway, that's why you don't. Also, it's why you don't wear them for too long. They do become ineffective after a while. So you don't keep wearing them.
Yeah, I think aren't there? I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that there are like reusable, like washable masks that you can get. Oh, you're like, I got one right here. What are you talking about? There you go.
I don't know if it's going to show up well on the video, but I thought this was somewhat appropriate. But you can't read it. It says everything happens for a reason, and that reason is usually physics.
Yep. That's a solid mask right there.
These ones are kind of washable, but even then with these, you don't wear them for a very long time. You wear them for, maybe a few hours at a time, and then you wash them every now and then.
Right.
But anyway.
So for this first one here, this first one here says, I only wear a mask in public to avoid spike shedding from the jabbed.
Oh no, you got to watch out for those spikes. Now thinking of a Pokemon move. What's the one where they throw all the spikes on the ground, or is that just called spikes? You can't, and it hurts if you move around. That's what I'm thinking now. Just throwing like caltrops everywhere, just so people step on them so they can't walk. But okay, what I think they're getting at is because they keep hearing all the buzzwords about the spike proteins, and for some reason the anti-vaxxers really like talking about them. But that's what the vaccine is doing when you get it. It's making your body produce a chemical that kind of mimics the spike proteins on COVID so that your immune system gets training looking for them. And then it comes along and it finds the ones that the vaccine's made and it learns from that. And so when you get the actual coronavirus, then hopefully, and it depends on which variant, and yes, it's all a percentages game, but you're definitely better off with it. It identifies the spike proteins, which it needs to get into cells. And it's like, no, you're bad. Get out of here. And of course, it does all of its usual stuff. So yeah, so I think that's where they get it. But the thing is, this spike shedding thing, the vaccines, even the mRNA ones, don't reproduce in your body. Mm-hmm. So this is not an ongoing process.
Right. I'm wondering like what their thoughts are on like why this like let's for shits and giggles, let's assume that the spike protein sheds and like, I guess it quote unquote infects other people, which it definitely doesn't. But for shits and giggles, like what kind of effect that wouldn't have any kind of effect other than I think that would make for like a really good way to disperse a vaccine to a large portion of people, at least this vaccine, because, if you're shedding the spike protein, then other people are going to build an immunity to it without even having to, get jabbed. So it like, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, from my understanding, the spike itself's not the dangerous bit. What it allows the virus to do is to get into other cells, to attach to them and then get in. But you still need the rest of the virus to actually infect a cell. So, yeah, the spikes on their own shouldn't do anything. I mean, maybe in a high enough concentration, but, anything that would be reasonable is not going to do anything. But, yeah, maybe it will train the body anyway. But what I do like about this is the irony. It's kind of like, at least they're wearing a mask.
Yeah, that's a good point. At least they're wearing a mask.
And if this is what it takes to convince all the anti-vaxxers and the anti-maskers to actually put one on, go for it.
Hey, we got to take the wins wherever they come, Yeah,
I see this one as a stupid win.
A stupid win. That's a good way to put it right there. All right, so here's this next one, and I'll leave this blown up for right now because it's Sky News, and it says a British F35 stealth jet from UK's flagship aircraft carrier has crashed into the Mediterranean while flying, and the pilot has ejected in the first such incident to impact the HMS Queen Elizabeth. Seems like just a normal sort of, post.
Yeah. And it took me a while to be like, wait, what's this here for? It's about fighter jets.
Yep. And but then we get to this person down here. Was it the vaccine that caused the pilot to crash the plane?
Yeah. He lost contact with his 5G nanorods.
Yeah. Oh man.
Didn't know where he was. He switched off. The robotics switched off and he couldn't fly.
Well, and these people are so geared to want to blame everything on the vaccine. I guess just so that they could be like, aha, I told you, I was right. The vaccine has done it. And it amazes me because you'll have people that will die of natural causes. And you've always got some asshole in the comments or somewhere that's like, were you vaccinated? Is this a vaccine related incident? And it's like, go fuck yourself.
Well, gee, did you hear? There is a chemical out there that everyone who's ever died has actually consumed. And nobody who's ever drunk this chemical has lived indefinitely.
What?
And it's called dihydrogen monoxide. Everyone who's ever had it has died.
Shit. Why haven't we heard of this before?
I don't know. It's a conspiracy theory. Although I don't think it's the Illuminati controlling the world at the moment. If there is going to be a secret organization, given the state of the world, I would say it's more like the inebriati. I don't think a bunch of any sober people capable of keeping a secret that big could run the world this way.
I would have to agree with you on that point. All right, let's see. Here's this next one. Let me shrink this down.
I had to get one that had to do with the country I'm from. So
so this is at the Melbourne. This person says at the Melbourne Protest today, unvaxxed sperm is the next Bitcoin.
Yeah, so down south of where I am, Melbourne, has had a lot of protests. We actually had a few here, but I like how at least on one occasion our police force dealt with the protests. They basically, or at least how the government did, they just put all the trains in for maintenance.
Yeah.
So that they couldn't get in to protest because we're in the middle of a lockdown when that happened. So they're like, no, you can't. But yeah, Melbourne's had a lot of these protests, but I'm just looking at it going, I wonder if that's going to help his cause or not.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen this going around how like unvaxxed sperm is going to be like the next gold rush or something like that. And I mean, if that is the case, it's literally just going to be in like these conservative idiots that think that quote unquote unvaxxed sperm is important. And so it's literally just going to be them trading with themselves, but in sperm? Like, how is
now
this?
I've got a terrible image of all with jars, and it's like the the Pokemon cards or the sports cards that they play with trading. It's like, I'll trade you 2 of these that glow green for one of yours that doesn't. This one's slightly yellow. I'll trade it for 2 of your white ones. It's just like,
look, dude, I got 2 ounces unvaxxed right here, bro.
Damn it, can't find a vein. Whoops.
But speaking from a software point of view, like this particular comparison doesn't even make sense because like Bitcoin is, the blockchain currency that's like decentralized and all this other stuff. And it's way more complicated than just like a tangible, like a currency, like they're trying to suggest here. And so, I mean, like, I really don't see the prices fluctuating on unvaxxed sperm. Anyways,
to me, it's just like, here's someone whose level of research is, I've heard Bitcoin is worth a bit, and people have talked about it, and that's about it. I think that's the level of research we've got here. So
I feel like you hit the nail on the head with that, because I mean, it's obviously this guy thinks Bitcoin's a big thing, and so obviously unvaxxed sperm is gonna be. Anyways, let's stop talking about sperm though. Let's talk about this dumbass. So this person says pine needle tea helps protect you from the cloud of spike proteins jab people leave behind, I guess in sort of a mist wherever we go. 2 years ago, I would have filed such recommendations under New Age nonsense, but I tried it and immediately felt better. Now I have some after every meeting. Fresh organic Scots pine needle tea, suramin, shikikimic acid, 75 ml. So I don't know if I pronounced that last thing right. I mean, I'm horrible at pronouncing shit.
I'm not sure. I think it's not too bad for, is it vitamin D or C or something? You can get a bit of that from pine needle tea, but that's about it. But the first thing I was thinking was, if people are leaving an invisible cloud behind when you walk near them, I think you need to open a window.
yeah. It's,
and those aren't spike proteins.
Yeah, exactly. Now, like, that reminds me, I don't know if you've ever seen any Charlie Brown cartoons, but it reminds me of
a few.
Yeah, there's this one character in it he's like a dirty poor kid because, this was way back in the whatever time frame, but poor dirty kid, and he just wherever he goes, he leaves clouds of dirt. Just, he goes places and clouds of dirt just emanate off of him. And I feel like that is the current situation right now, is he thinks that there's these clouds of spike proteins, which would do nothing to you, even if like clouds were emanating.
And this is also ignoring the fact that they're probably too big a molecule to stay suspended very well in the atmosphere. I mean, I guess some of them would stay around for a bit because even the virus on its own can. But yeah, But I still don't know where they get this from. Like, as I said, it's not a process that keeps occurring in the body and then you start giving off spike proteins. Like, I haven't got a cold and then start, leaving cold behind me, years or months later. That's not how anything works.
I like how you say that questioningly. Like, that's not how why would this be a thought in your brain? That's the kind of energy I'm getting off of you right now.
I think it goes back to that base level of research. They've heard a couple of words and then they just join the dots that shouldn't be joined.
Yeah, exactly.
They heard spike proteins. They heard that was somehow bad. Therefore, evil people are trying to control us. That's, I think, the level of thinking from some of them.
Yeah, it really is. And then what's this whole thing about like pine needle tea? Like, I'm sure, like you said before, I'm sure that there are some health benefits to drinking it. But like, for some reason, these people think that these homeopathic remedies are like magical cures. And I just have no idea why they think these things.
Well, I think that one gets really complicated, but what comes to my mind is it's along that detox route. It helps you detox. But a bit of advice: if your body is not sufficiently detoxing itself, you don't need tea. You don't need some detox remedy. You need a hospital. If your liver is not functioning, you need medical help. This is not going to fix the problem.
Right. I mean, like, that's a serious medical condition. Not just something that you can wipe away with some tea.
Yeah. And I don't think you'd be feeling well enough to probably have tea if you got to the point where your liver is not functioning.
Right.
Unfortunately, going to be a lot of pain. But I do know where the vitamin C thing for getting rid of colds comes from, because that one's a myth. But that actually comes from a Nobel Prize winner. Linus Pauling, who's one of the most famous Nobel Prize winners. He won 2 Nobel Prizes and wanted to go for a third. And I think it's a phenomenon that does occur where people who've got a lot of awards or have done really, really well in their fields get a little bit of a complex where they don't always see when they do get something wrong, because they've got so many amazing things right. And then they're like, well, everything I think is correct. And he got misled that vitamin C can help cure colds. And I think he said that, or he said something like that. And then it got just blown out through like media and people over the years. So it actually came from him misunderstanding a few things about vitamin C, but hadn't actually done any experiments on it. And despite all his brilliance, he had his moments. Like he tried to propose a structure for DNA before Watson and Crick did, but he put all the negative charges running right down the middle, which physically would have just blown itself apart. You can't do that. So
right.
So I know where that one comes from, but yeah, I think, as I said, there might be some vitamin C here, but yeah, apart from this idea about let's detox with all this fruit juice, I don't know. I think there's a lot of this here. I don't know where they get these ideas from. They're just wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's on the same level as like, squirting the horse gel in your mouth in order to protect yourself against COVID-19.
The thing is that I don't want to put nasty toxins in my body, and it's just like, I found 2 of these. It was just like, I just thought this was hilarious.
Yeah. Okay. So this one is Israel's ultra-Orthodox rabbi says COVID-19 vaccine will turn people gay.
Is that why I've been feeling awesome since I got my vaccine?
I mean, maybe. I've been feeling particularly awesome too. Maybe, I mean, it could be. I mean, who knows? A rabbi is telling us this about medicine. The same people that think that you got to chop off a little bit of your dick to please the magical wizard that they believe in, who could have just created you without that particular part of your dick. But no, he definitely wants you to take a razor blade to that shit. Definitely take medical advice from these people.
It's reminding me of the same of the senator. Was it the senator who or the mayor who said the fluoride in the water is turning the frogs gay? That's what's coming to mind.
Yeah, that wasn't a senator or anybody. That was Alex Jones.
Oh, was that? Oh, yeah. Okay, that tracks.
Yeah, turning the freaking frogs gay.
That's all I've got in my head is like that level of thinking. But again, I think it's I think this thing is bad, therefore the vaccine is also bad. They're late. Yeah, they cause each other. I think that's kind of what they're going, because in terms of rhetoric, you think about it, if you want to make things look evil, you associate them with bad things.
Yeah.
And so then, I think that's what's
yeah, so we've got both the Jewish rabbi and the Iranian cleric that says that it's now listen, almost the doctor or Matt, listen, okay? This is two people now that are saying that it turns you gay.
Two full people. I know. Maybe there's more to this because more than one person believes it.
Yeah. But I mean, I really don't know why like people would be convinced by this. Like, I don't think that a lot of people are, but it's obvious that there are some people that is like, the Iranian cleric, he said that he turns it gay. Well, shit, it must be true. Like, there are people out there that hear this and think, oh shit, it turns you gay.
Yeah, I think part of it too is that they do actually have a lot of influence. Like in our countries, not really, but in the countries they're from, in the kind of, in the religions they're from, they do have a lot of influence. They're very senior people who have commanded a lot of respect. Now, I'm not going to get into how much of that is earned or not, but in terms of when they do say something wrong like this, there probably is a fair portion of people that would buy that. And it's a little scary about how this rhetoric goes about what you do is you take things that some people still think is evil or bad, and then you play it up and you start building lies on top of it. But people think, oh, this is bad, and you associate them and then you link them together. And by the end of it, you come up with this idea that it's evil. And this kind of rhetoric is how you see some of the worst regimes in history end up with giant lies and propaganda that is successful, because they start from this minor point, they build up until you start saying ridiculous things like that. But often there is a base where, people are scared and they're playing upon that fear. They're playing upon our natural emotions because, not everyone has the ability to recognize nonsense when they hear it. So I know it was a little more serious than previous parts, but it can be scary on the bottom that they can say this. And I mean, to us, it's just ridiculous, but that there is a, percentage of the population that for one reason or another, it will affect it, that will actually buy into it. And I'm not blaming them because there's a lot of reasons why. I would hold, obviously I hold these people accountable. If you're going to say something publicly, you better have at least done your research. You don't have to be correct, but at least have some more responsibility than just saying ridiculous stuff like this. But yeah, they have an agenda, I think, and it fits with it.
Right.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of people looking at this going, and even if this was true, it's like, okay. Well, could we actually, what would happen if we found another vaccine that reversed its effect? And then you could just, depending on the day, being like, let's just try something different. Then when you're done, you're like, let's.
Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, it, like you said, even if it did have this effect, it's far better to have your sexuality medically changed, I guess, through this vaccine than to die. Like, I mean, I feel like it's definitely a worthwhile risk. Now, I was going to say that, or I was going to ask you the question for your own personal opinion, because this kind of is somewhat related to, a phenomena that you probably see over in Australia, but we definitely see here in the States. And that's like pastors and these religious people that, aren't pushing this whole, vaccines turn you gay kind of thing, but they are definitely pushing this idea that you don't need to be vaccinated, that like you're protected by God or by the blood of Jesus or something like that. Do you think that prominent figures like these two religious leaders, as well as the ones in America, bear some responsibility for the people that take their advice and then get sick and die? Like, do you think they bear any responsibility? If
there is a direct link between what these people say and the actions that are taken by people that they already know are under their influence, I would say yes. If you're a public figure and you command respect, yes, you should be held at a higher level of kind of responsibility for the things you say. If the reason they didn't get vaccinated was because, at least in part, because the people they trusted like that told them not to, then yes, they have to bear the brunt of their responsibilities. And I think, and it's how I normally see it, there's different levels of a kind of responsibility here. Like if you're just going about and you believe something that's wrong, that's not necessarily bad. But if you're going to then get up in a public platform where you command a lot of influence, even if it's a small but very zealous audience or a very large audience, it doesn't really matter. Once you get up onto that public platform and you start making claims that are going to influence people's decisions, I think, yes, you should be held accountable for those actions. And exactly how you do that, I don't know. But I mean, if I got up and then tried to say, look, I'm a scientist and injecting battery acid into your veins is good for you, well, I should be held accountable if someone actually goes and does that. But exactly how you would do it.
Just like if you're a president and you tell people to inject Clorox into their veins, like that, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
you're responsible for that. Also, unnecessarily shining a flashlight up your ass to try to get UV light in your body. I think you're also responsible for that, Trump. Sorry,
yeah, don't shine UV light there.
I totally agree with everything you said, by the way. I'm totally on board with the fact that these people are responsible ultimately for the people that they've directly affected. And I think that it's sad that people are being led down these paths that ultimately lead to, serious hospitalization and even death on occasion. I feel like they do bear responsibility for those people's decisions because they directly affect them. But moving on to the next post that we have here. So yes, not a very serious post. First of all, let's all pay attention right now to the love God Donald Trump is the legitimate president of the United States of America. So right off the bat, you know that they're not twerking on all 10 cylinders. Or 8 cylinders, whatever. So they say there is no maybe. The COVID vaccine is made of graphene oxide toxin. Please do not take the COVID vaccine. If taken, please drink pine needle tea. Fuck that pine needle tea. Per doctor, per direct DR. Is that doctor or directions? Maybe it's supposed to be directions. Per DR to eliminate the spikes caused by the vaccine. Consult your physician, MRI, or EMP. Also needed to deactivate the nanobots.
I like that one because it's like, well, the MRI actually works, but I don't know where you're going to find an EMP.
The EMP would definitely shut down any kind of like electrical technology that's in your body, which would actually be really bad if you have like a pacemaker. Because then
if you have a pacemaker, don't do this.
Yeah.
Just in case anyone out there was thinking, they need to shut down all the electronics in their body.
Are you kidding?
Also, I have no idea what the pictures are for because they just had a bunch of all these pictures below that just have like nothing really to do with.
Yeah. It's got fuck all to do with anything that they're talking about. But so I would love to see the people that are believing this shit try to engineer an EMP. Trying to figure out how to make an EMP that would do this. What it reminds me of are those, if you go and look on Amazon, which I don't know if they're still there, but if you go and look on Amazon, they have these like Gauss cages that you can put around your router to protect from 5G signal.
We actually tackled that amongst a few of the other ones on live stream on there's a channel called Polymathic that I do fairly regular science streams on. We had a good laugh because it's like, it's basically it's a device that you put around your router or a cage to block the radiation.
Yeah,
and
maybe
then
I was wrong. Is it a Faraday cage?
Yeah, they're
Faraday cage,
cages.
not Gauss. So, fuck me. Anyways, go ahead.
Now, if you're blocking the radiation, the Wi-Fi is radiation. So you tend to block the Wi-Fi. Then you get all these comments like, it works brilliantly. I feel much, much better. It's like taking colloidal silver, things like that. But my internet is a bit slow. And you're like, yeah. I think my favorite one was someone once sold a USB that was designed to when you plug it into the computer, it makes a 5G shield around your house. All it was a regular USB that someone had just stripped and then like repainted on the top of it that you couldn't actually use. So they were selling it for like 10 times what a regular USB was. So it was a pretty good profit someone was making, but it was just a plain USB.
Yeah, which, I mean, honestly, somebody could load that USB stick up with programs that automatically run whenever you plug it in, and it could it could do a bunch of damage. Like, it could steal your passwords and everything like that, all because you wanted to protect yourself from 5G health issues or something. Which, from what I can recall of the research done on that, I think that the only time you see adverse effects is when you have like a fully exposed brain, like fully exposed gray matter with like a 5G signal being beamed directly at the gray matter of your brain. I want to say that there was something done where they did that specific test, and it's like that's where we see damage or some kind of adverse effect occurring in that situation. But it's like just normal human experience, you're not going to have any kind of like adverse effects.
Yeah, as far as we can tell, nothing has been proven yet. Now, there are studies that lean kind of both ways on terms of whether it's good or bad, but you're going to get that in any area. But unlike, say, physics with something like gravity or with the effects like, the spectroscopy fields that I work in, you don't get anywhere near this. Oh, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't for, decades and decades. And the few papers that I've seen that actually support it doing some damage don't seem to actually understand physics. Like, the medical terms seem all right. But I read one, and this was a seriously published paper where he said, whilst we know that the electrical field from electromagnetic radiation is non-penetrating, which is such a stupid statement because it's like, well, what wavelength are we working at? But I think they were talking about 5G. So maybe that was what they were after, although they probably should have stated. It's not particularly true. It can still get through a fair bit. We do know, however, that the magnetic components of the radiation can be penetrating and have lasting effects on biological tissue. I'm just looking at that going, you couldn't have got that more wrong if you tried. And this was a published paper.
Wow.
One, that's not how light works. If you kill one of the fields, it dies. That's it. It's gone.
Right.
Because it's not just a magnet that's spinning around and then a electric field that's spinning around. No, you have both of them alternating at kind of 90 degrees in a 90-degree phase shift to each other. And that they need that. There's very specific criteria for them to propagate. If you kill one of them, the other one has to stop. You don't get away without them. All the math shows that, and all the experiments show that. The second part is, okay, magnets. Yeah, okay. The magnetic field for like tiny anyway, and you can't affect it with an external magnet. It doesn't work in that way. And it's also like, yeah, okay. And so if I went near something magnetic, that's going to kill me as well, is it? the kid's a medical professional who hasn't realized that MRIs are a thing, and the Earth is a thing, and compasses are a thing, and most electronics that do have magnets in it are a thing. Yeah, I don't know where they get that from, but that would, so you can see pretty silly things sometimes published, and it's hard to tell responsibility, but some of it is because they're such an expert in one field that they don't understand, say, the physics. So I read this going, I don't know about some of the biological mechanisms, but then they mention something about radiation, which is what I basically do or utilize. And I'm like, that's not how physics works. That's it's just not.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, that kind of reminds
tangents, am I?
Well, that kind of reminds me of this one paper that a bunch of creationists have latched onto, where it postulates that octopi or octopuses come from like outside of the Earth, like they're alien. Yeah, it was a paper that was published like in a journal and everything like that, but like it's received serious criticism. And it's just been drug over the coals. But, this doesn't matter to the creationists, because they will just say that, oh, this is what evolutionists are teaching in the classrooms or teaching in science classes, wherever, that octopuses are aliens. And so it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I think within the paper, they didn't say that was exactly what happened. It was just it was a stupid thing to say, but it was like a throwaway statement when they were, because when you get to the end of a paper, when you're writing a proper scientific publication, you normally talk about future work. And that's the only part that gets speculative, because you normally have to talk about where, or you might explain some of your results that are yet to be, and you're going to explain future work. And what I think a lot of people don't realize when you have these studies, that bit is speculative. Yes, it might be fairly well grounded, although in that case it definitely wasn't. We don't see alien octopus or octopi flying around, as cool as that might actually be. But you have to look at the rest of the paper, and that was, I think, not the only explanation they gave. It was like at the end they were saying, here's our conclusions from the actual science, and maybe and they said a bunch of things. That was one of them, and it's just like, I think they just ignored the rest of science.
Right.
I think it was Advice Rhino who found one creationist who like quote mined the first half of the sentence and then forgot to put the second half, which actually completely debunked what he was saying.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's like, like for these, it's scary because there's a tiny bit of science to some of them, and then it's just like giant gap. It's like, here's a little bit of true science, and then whoo, giant leap. Where'd you come from? Oh, I love this one.
Yeah. So this one, which I think that this is like a Facebook post that's been screen capped and put on Twitter. But anyways, this person goes, gotta be a coincidence. And it's the last two variants have been Delta and Omicron. An anagram of Delta Omicron is media control. Wink, wink.
Why don't we leave this to your viewers to see how many other anagrams they can come up with? But my favorite one was a response to one of these, someone who said that. And they said, it also spells erotic almonds. What's your point? Erotic almond. That's why I had to put that one in there, because I just like,
erotic almonds. I mean, come on, it's got to be a coincidence, right?
I mean, maybe that's what they're putting in the vaccines to make everyone turn gay.
Erotic almonds. I mean, that might do it.
I don't think I can add anything else to that one.
No. Most of these, I mean, really don't really have much else to them. Let's see. This one has the Spectator Index saying, breaking, over 8 billion coronavirus vaccine doses have now been administered worldwide. And they're just like, how? There's only 7 million people out there. I feel like that. Go ahead.
I wonder if they're creationists and they're not very good with orders of magnitude.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think it's just people don't always understand orders of magnitude. But I just like this one because it's just like, this is the level of braining that we're sometimes dealing with.
Yeah. So just to put this in perspective, the population of New York, like the city, is 8.4 million. And so just to give you a little bit of perspective there, I mean, it's like being like, wait, but there's only 7 million people, and that's like, not even the size of New York City.
Well, brilliant maths here.
Yeah, I feel like a science textbook is definitely needed for some. A math textbook is needed for some of these people.
Need both. You can't do science without some math.
Right. Oh, look, it's Tommy Lahren. Loren? No, it's Loren, maybe. I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyways, so she's made an anagram out of COVID, and it's control, oppression, vax, infringements, Democrats.
Because that makes sense.
Let's just pull random words out of our ass, why don't we? And she ends it with, wake up! It's never been about health and safety. It's a pilot program for communism steeped in control, compliance, and big government. Which I have to say, the most offending thing is the lack of the Oxford comma here. And that just grates on me.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta have that Oxford comma. My favorite... some of the examples you can get for that. If you want to learn up how to use them, there's a couple of brilliant examples.
Yeah,
because where's that Oxford comma?
Yeah, because right now, control...
I still don't know what...
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say also, I have no idea what they're trying to, like, is that meant to read something with the anagram there? Because, like, that doesn't even follow.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just, it's weird. And normally like it's supposed to actually mean something, but this is just random ass words that are being pulled out.
Although some of the acronyms that come up, particularly well in science, but particularly in astronomy, because for some reason they love them, are hilarious. You can tell where some people have just been like, how far can we push this when we try and publish a paper before someone corrects us? I mean, my favorite one was copper nanotubes, because you spell copper with Cu as its elemental symbol, and then they did nanotubes. So yeah, I'm sure some people can figure out what that one ended up spelling in the paper. And I was just like, I have no idea how they got that through. But then there's others like, so I quite like, herp and derp and wise ass and big ass. They're all actual acronyms in science for one reason. You're just like, all right. But you can tell they're pushing, but here's, well.
Yeah.
And again, here we go. Communism is evil, therefore, because I think the vaccine is evil, it equals communism.
Well, yeah, but I also don't understand how like control, oppression, or infringements, or Democrats is supposed to, or vax is supposed to like be related to communism. Other than they feel like the masking mandates are, which this was from at the very beginning of 2021, and I don't know if there was many mask mandates. I guess that maybe there were mask mandates in January of this year. I can't remember when the first mask mandates were really done, but it feels like the last 2 years have been 20 years wrapped in 2 years. But
it does feel like that. It's a bit different here. We've been, when we do have, because we actually had a good run when we were having almost no cases, but that seems to be pretty much over now. But we've had some mask rules in quite a bit here and there. But we've been doing it from fairly early on. But recently, we actually, our premier decided that he was going to reduce those restrictions. You originally had to wear masks in pretty much any public space. And then they were just like, pretty much now on public transport and a few others. And you don't need it in shops, despite the fact that our case numbers are starting to skyrocket, particularly over going into Christmas. And they're just like, okay. It's like, But I don't know what would happen if it's similar in some parts of America, but at least here, if you go through the shops now, about 80-90% of people will still wear a mask even though you don't need to.
Oh, that's good. I know but personally, both my wife and I, we wear our masks whenever we go out in public. But I mean, I think that's primarily because, we live in a very dipshitty area that thinks that we're protected by, the blood of Christ or something. And so we're just being extra careful.
Now I'm just trying to think how much you'd annoy them if you wore a red mask with like that was basically the Soviet Union flag. You just walk around with it. The
sickle and the hammer.
That's asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Which I remember at high school once, so a couple of the people in my year wanted to play a prank and they nearly got away with it, but unfortunately the original flag was bolted down. They wanted to change the school flag that is flying in view of a train line. They wanted to take the flag down, replace it with the Soviet flag. They couldn't quite do it. They got the other flag down, but it was bolted, so they couldn't change it over.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see that. It would have been funny.
And to correct myself, at the very beginning of this, I mistakenly said that it was an anagram. That was actually the previous post that was an anagram. This was acronym, which I think is what you actually correctly stated. I misspoke and said anagram because I'm a dumbass. But anyways, so here's our next post. And we're kind of getting to the end here, but this person says a family member whom I live with got his second, and I reacted to the spike protein. I had horrible cycles over the summer, resulting in me ovulating 9 days into my cycle and falling pregnant. If that's how my body reacts to being around vax, what will happen if I get vaxxed?
I just had no idea what they were going for. It's just like, excuse me, but yeah, I was just none of this works. But
yeah, I don't know. Like, how does the spike protein increase your ovulation? Like, I guess cycle, or how does it like make you more susceptible to getting pregnant? Like, I have no idea how this is even supposed to medically. Like, I'm nowhere near the medical field, but even I'm like, how in the fuck does a spike protein do this? Because that's not even the function of a spike protein. Like in general.
As I said at the beginning, I'm not almost a medical doctor. I'm almost a physicist. And I'm just looking at going, I think this is just so nonsense. It's not even wrong.
Yes. I love that phrase. Not even wrong. And that's exactly what this is. This one again is centered around the idea that like spike proteins are being shed or something, and I just don't understand why like people think that spike proteins are being shed. That just, I don't know, it's very ridiculous.
Here's something I just thought of something with that. They somehow think the spike proteins are being shed, but don't understand that masks can help stop the spread of the actual virus.
Yeah. Well, I feel like they think that the spike protein just sort of emanates from your pores in sort of a cloud dust that is like a residual thing that leaves. It's almost like maybe it seeps out of your pores from like your BO. Like if you smell somebody that's got intense BO and it's just like, oh, I smell the spike proteins. Oh my God, I'm gonna get pregnant now. I just know it. I'm getting pregnant.
Is that why everyone's putting on weight over Christmas?
I don't know. Maybe. All right. So this next one is from Santino Rice, and they're a verified account. And so they're saying, my immune system is powerful and it functions on a divine level that science and the medical industry cannot understand. I support my good health with proper nutrients and positive intentions. Positive and fucking positive intentions. I have all that I need, and as my life evolves, I become stronger and more abundant.
How does a person become more abundant?
You know, listen, I have to attest to this whole more abundant thing because listen, so insulin is a hormone, and whenever you get put on insulin and the doctor doesn't tell you that you're going to end up retaining weight, you definitely become more abundant. That's what happened to me when I was diagnosed with diabetes. My doctor didn't tell me like how much I would retain weight. And so like I blew up about 100 pounds that first like year that I was on insulin. And so I could definitely attest to becoming more abundant, not for the bullshit reasons that he's saying here. But there's definitely like you become more abundant over Christmas whenever you start eating like all of the food and sweets and everything like that. Like for other people, I don't eat a lot of sweets, but I'm just saying like I could definitely attest to becoming more abundant, but that just means you're becoming a fat ass. And I am an expert on becoming a fat ass. Okay.
We all have our fields. Also, I just like it's like how science and medicine can't explain my immune system, and I'm just like, yes, it can. It did. It has.
But it works on a divine level. He is godlike. Do you see him with those jackass glasses up there?
Yes, his immune system is so strong that it grew glasses.
I mean, look at him. But okay, so his immune system works on a divine level, and like does not. Science can't, and the medical industry can't understand him. And apparently he uses positive intentions and proper nutrients to attain this divine immune system. How do positive intentions like factor into this? Now, I mean, positive intentions in the way of like eating correctly, like eating healthy and everything. Sure. I think that like a placebo, maybe like as far as positive intentions go, I think as far as like remaining healthy, you know, having a good diet and not eating like junk food all the time, I think is good. But like, I feel like that's really misattributing what is causing like your good health. Because it's like saying that, oh, you know, the sun is the reason why I'm healthy. And it's because you eat like a lot of green food that, you know, survives off of sunlight or something. And but I mean, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about here? This is not how anything works.
Again, not even wrong.
Not even wrong. Okay, next one. Okay, so let's see. Biggie Psy? I don't know. Anyways. Oh, shock horror. Another game suspended for another medical emergency at a football ground. This time at Hillsborough. Funny how this happened since COVID vaccines. Coincidence? I think not. Hashtag no vaccine passports. Hillsborough, no vaccine mandates. And then this person says, was literally a fight, you muppet. Oh, so there was a medical emergency that was a fight, and they're trying to blame it on the vaccines. See, this is a lot like supposing that the plane was brought down over a vaccination in that earlier post that we saw. And this person's like, were they vaccinated? And this person's just going directly there. It's like, oh, because of vaccine mandates, now they're shutting down another game.
Yeah, well, there is a correlation between cheese sales and the number of people that die by strangulation in their bed sheets.
Mm.
So, I mean, that's the level here. But it's just going, maybe it was the Moderna nanobots now fighting the Pfizer nanobots.
Oh, yeah. There's turf wars in the nanobot realm. I'm just saying. I think that there was another one that was linking ice cream sales to polio infections. I want to say
ice creams and drownings in pools.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
there's another one, but that one can be explained because you tend to sell more ice cream in summer.
Yeah, I think it's a similar thing for the polio infections that occurred before, obviously before the polio vaccine was developed. But it was because, when you get closer to the summer, the polio virus would spread more often. And so they were linking ice cream with like polio infections. And it's basically what's the phrase? I'm brain farting on it. Correlation
versus causation.
Right. That one right there.
Yes. Every correlation equals evil.
Something. Okay, well, we're gonna we've got so many more here, and I think we're gonna have to break this up into like another time for us to do it. But I do want to go into this very last one that we have, and it's the best, and I definitely wanted to cover this.
Yes, I had to put this in here.
So this person goes, things that make you go, and it's Delta Omicron, nothing to see here because it's obviously an Illuminati controlled thing. And then they got Theta, Omega, and then it's just a dick. And I think the point here is just that you can make anything out like a Greek alphabet and you can put them together and it's just anything, right?
I also like how they've added a dot to their Omicron, but you don't need it.
Oh yeah, Omicron. Yeah, look, Omicron. There's no dot there.
Yeah, I think maybe that's something for your comments. What else can people make?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of curious. Like, what else can you make out of these random ass letters? I mean, this is again like pareidolia or like what's the numerology thing where people find numbers and everything.
I can't remember off the top of my head,
but it's basically pareidolia with numbers. Like there's this whole thing around the number 33. Like I think that there's this one guy on Twitter that's called 33 Now You See or something like that, and he's constantly pointing out where the number 33 comes up like in everything.
I think I've had a look at that account. That's a few minutes of my life I'm not getting back.
And it's amazing here the connections that people can make when they really want to make them. And it like Delta, Omicron, like the reason why these things are called the way that they're called is just because it's a very orderly list. Is that not correct? Just of like Delta, like the Delta variant was just a variant and they named it Delta because that was the next like letter in the Greek alphabet. And the same thing with Omicron.
Yeah, they're just following but they did miss 2 for Omicron when they did it. They missed new and they missed Z. The reason they missed new is because they didn't want it sounding like the new variant, as in NEW, as opposed to NU. So they didn't want confusion over that. And Z was because it's a really, really common Chinese name, as well as it's also the name of the dictator in China. So they didn't want to name a variant after that and have problems. So that's why they skipped those 2. But otherwise, they were just going through their Greek letters. There's an order to which they do it. And I know it looks like it's all over the place. But also, you don't hear about every variant either, because some of them might have enough mutations, but they're not actually very different. Even within these, there's a lot of mutations. So there's still kind of subvariants and all that. So to the point where, because Australia for a long time was having cases at most in the single digits, who just had hotel quarantine, etc. Didn't always work, but it did keep us a lot safer than other places. And we would be able to tell exactly where they'd come from. We could tell if they come from America or from Europe or from India or from Asia, etc., because you could track down not only these, but all these other subvariants. So yeah, it's just a naming thing. They just go through orderly. It's like, yeah, okay. Which is why I liked this one and the media control one, because it's just like, well, what else can we do with it?
Yeah, exactly. And again, like we said before, I would love to see what kind of variations you could come up with the one acronym of the COVID, as well as with this one. But there's no good reason why you would put like Omicron inside of Delta, because like Delta Omicron would just be Delta and then the O, and so like, why would you put it inside of it? This is painstakingly like violating any like language standards that you would have for the Greek alphabet here, and you're just trying to make it so that it's Illuminati shit, and it's just so fucking weird.
Inebriati confirmed. I want to start that one.
Inebriati confirmed. You know, I feel like Inebriati should be a shirt that I make and I sell, because I'm just inebriated every single time.
There is a sketch that Mitchell and Webb did about the Inebriati that I'd suggest, because that's where I first heard that. But it was, now I want that to be what everyone uses now. It's not the Illuminati, it's the Inebriati.
Oh, and you know what it needs to be? It needs to be the Illuminati eye triangle, right? But he's got a Bud Light, and he's like really glassy. Instead of being like a serious eye, it just needs to be like a glassy drunk eye. Yeah, like that, like half closed, kind of like, pass the Bud Light, y'all. Kind of thing. Oh man. Anyways, this has been really fun. There, Matt. I really appreciate you coming on. And I mean, last time I had you on, we were talking about some great stuff. I think it was like one of the last flat earth things that I actually did. And this time doing the vaccine stuff has just been awesome. So, everybody down below, let us know what you thought about us just kind of casually going through all these really weird posts. We've got so much more that we could do from the bad vaccine takes account, but we've also got a bad medical takes account that Matt has actually went through and gotten a lot of great posts on. So if you want to see more of me and Matt going through these crazy things, and hearing from somebody way smarter than I am, Matt, about this topic. Where?
My favorite phrase to describe myself is just educated beyond my intelligence.
Yeah.
But as I said, like with these, we're not even reaching high school level of science. So hopefully we're all right here.
Yeah. I totally agree with you on that. It doesn't take much to refute, these ridiculous posts. But if you want to see more of this, you've got to smash that like button, leave us a comment, and share this video out with your friends. Let them have a laugh with the ridiculous stuff that we see on the internet all the time. Now, Matt, do you want to tell everybody where they can find you, what you're doing over there at your channel, and any kind of things that you got coming up over there?
Yes, so you can find me either on Twitter or YouTube, and also I do take suggestions. So if you want to leave a comment for videos, science videos you want to see, let me know. I'll see if I can get around to it. So that's where you can find me. I've already mentioned some of the videos I've got coming up. Oh, sorry, some of the things I'm working on, I've done recently, but in terms of what's coming up, I am planning to do, I think as I mentioned, some lame science jokes, see how many of them I can tell in about 3 minutes. I want to see if I can get to 20. That's my goal. But I do also have a more serious video coming up. I'm going to look at whether science made World War I so deadly. That's my serious one coming up. And then I've got a couple of other collaborations that are in early works. So keep an eye out for that. I've got hopefully a few exciting things coming up. And yeah,
awesome.
Hopefully it goes well.
Now, do you have anything about Jewish space lasers that are coming up?
Not. I've mentioned them on live streams. I haven't actually made a video on space lasers, apart from my second one, which was Project Excalibur, which is nuke-powered space X-ray lasers.
Yeah, I know
that's an old video. It's not one of my better ones because it was the second one I made. I look back at it going, oh, that was how I made a video. But anyway, I've come a long way since then, so we'll see how things go. But yeah, I've also done a few nuclear videos, and I have done one that actually I do quite like on shark lasers. How practical is it to attach lasers to sharks? So there's basically a debunk of Dr. Evil.
Well, I have to say, if you don't have something planned with somebody else to discuss space lasers, I think that maybe you should come on here and help me understand why space lasers can't cause forest fires.
Oh, yes. I'm sure we can arrange
maybe
something.
They can. I don't know. We'll have to find out. Sorry, I totally interrupted you there.
No spoilers for the space lasers, but if you want, maybe you can set a challenge. If you get enough likes or something, then we'll spoil the answer for everyone.
All right. Well, heathens, if you're not already subscribed to Almost a Doctor, definitely go over there. If you like science, fun science questions and everything like that, he's producing a lot of great content over there. He's got a lot of great production quality into his videos. So please go over there, subscribe, and like I said before, let us know that you want to see another video of us going through all these vaccine comments. So almost Matt, I keep calling you Almost a Doctor because that's what I have up on
either one works
there. Yeah, Matt, it was great to see you today, and I guess we will see you heathens next time. Don't forget to stand up, use your voice. Bye, heathens.
Also, be like a proton and stay positive.
I love that. That's great. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time.